Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey!
This week, randomly, there happens to be a bunch of awesome matches coming up. 8 pay-per-view level matches that just happen to be happening on this weekend, and as always with those, we're going to take a look at the matches and see what storyline implications there are, who we think's going to win, and what the fallout is going to be. The first one of those 8 matches, I'm going to start with the singles matches. Let's go with Braun Strowman versus Omos.
But this is just going to be 2 big giant men that's going to be fighting. But I don't know how much meat will be slapping. I don't expect this to be a very long match. And honestly, I think Braun Strowman wins.
Yeah, I'm super confused about this one, right? Because it felt like we were building Omos, we were doing so much with him, he was with MVP, then we kind of forgot about him, and then he comes back, but Braun returns, and Braun sort of steps into that big, massive man role that he had before he left, and this is almost like Braun coming back to claim the throne from Omos, who was sitting in it for a little while he was gone.
Yeah, it's kind of agree with you on that. I think that this may be just the end of the Omos character. I think that they're doing this to establish Strowman as the big dominant guy that he was before he left, and phasing out Omos to some degree. Because I don't really think that Triple H really, I think, cares that much about Omos.
Yeah, it's been such a confusing cloud around Omos. We just really don't know what they're going to do with him. But it seems as though the new toy in the toy box, or I guess the returned toy of Braun Strowman, is definitely the one with momentum, and I think is the heavy favorite heading into this one. Let's look at another singles match, the only other one without a title or stipulation. It is once again more big men. It is Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley.
This will be meaty men slapping me. Honestly, I think Brock wins. I think and I'm saying that solely because Bobby won the day 1 event match earlier in the year. So I think this sets up perfectly for potentially a rubber match somewhere down the road. And I think these 2 men will go to war.
Yeah, it's always hard predicting a Brock Lesnar match. It's similar to a Roman Reigns match in that you just cannot count him out of winning any match under any circumstances against any opponent. And what that does here when we're talking about Bobby Lashley, it's a guy who's coming off of a title run, seems to have a whole lot of momentum behind him, but losing to Brock doesn't really make you look weak in any way for anybody because he's Brock Lesnar. I don't know.
And Bobby Lashley is in a much better position now than he would have been if this match happened, say, when Bobby returned to WWE.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on this one. I will go 55 Brock Lesnar, 45 Bobby Lashley, just to pick a side. But if Bobby came out of this the winner, I'm not ultimately going to be surprised. Brock's just here to have some fun at this point, and look, I never thought we'd see him again, so hey. We got a lot of other matches. Let's just talk about even more big men. They're not often referred to as big men, but they sure are. Steel cage match, Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross.
I honestly, at this point, I'm starting to have real serious questions about Drew McIntyre going forward. Because he obviously had the big match with Roman, which it ultimately doesn't hurt him. He had the first match with Karrion Kross, which he had needed to lose in order to establish Karrion Kross. the problem is if Karrion Kross loses this, it pretty much undoes everything. People are already struggling to have a connection with Karrion Kross as it is. But at the same time, that would be four main losses in a row for Drew?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Ultimately, I don't think we necessarily needed this match. I get that the storyline could extend a little bit further, but you're right, we are sort of booked into a corner with the steel cage here. Either Karrion Kross looks like a chump or Drew McIntyre loses again, back to back to back to back. The only kind of thing that can save it would be a sort of interference-y kind of finish, and that doesn't instill a lot of hope, because usually that's going to lead to just them having their match later down the line. So yeah, this is another one of those ones that's very 50-50 to me. It feels like both men need to win and neither man can afford to lose.
I'll err on the side of caution, and I'll go with Karrion Kross, because they really are trying to establish him. But yeah, if he loses this match, kiss Karrion Kross's chances of main eventing any event goodbye. Because fans will not buy him.
For the sake of having a little bit of conflict in the show, I will pick Drew McIntyre. My boy coming out on top and regaining his main event momentum. What else we got here? Let's talk about the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. And I have a real need to sing the Wiggles song Hot Potato here. But it is the champions, Alexa Bliss and Asuka, defending them against Damage Control.
Yeah, who just lost the titles to Alexa Bliss and Asuka on Monday. Yeah. Normally I have issues with hot potatoes and stuff. I'll go ahead and give Hot Potato the title back to Damage. I really don't know what they're doing here. And I'll be 100% honest with you. I think Alexa Bliss and Dakota Kai would make a better team than any pairing of these four women.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, Alea and Raquel won the titles and then lost them a couple weeks later to Damage Control. Damage Control held them for 6 weeks, just dropped them to Bliss and Asuka. I don't know, man. If they drop them now to Damage Control again, I don't know. It feels like there was no reason to do the title change, necessarily, but that hasn't stopped us before. I feel like it's a lot better for us to have Damage Control with the belts, an actual established faction and team, etc. Whereas Bliss and Asuka, people have been asking for a character change out of Bliss for a while. Asuka's just sort of floating. I feel like these titles will do more work around Damage Control's waists than Bliss and Asuka, who could be off doing other things, So, screw it. I'll agree with you. Let's hot potato the titles back. Let's continue to hot potato these things around and throw them back on Kai and Sky. But that's only because I don't think we should have put them on Bliss and Asuka to start with.
Yeah, but then this gives them the chance to put all the belts on Damage Control at the end of the day. And do it in front of a live audience.
That is true. Because we also have the Raw Women's Championship on the line. Bianca Belair defending against Bayley in a last woman standing match. For me, this one here, it's again a little bit of a hard one, just because if we look at the ladder match, Bianca Belair basically won that 1v3, and she's sort of been that character who doesn't quit, doesn't give up. And she's heading into a last woman standing match. It's kind of built for her here.
It is? But I think this is where Bayley takes her down.
Handcuffs or duct tape?
buried under the announce table.
There we go.
Yeah, I think I think this time the numbers will overcome her.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, I think Bayley will walk out with the women's championship, and Damage Control will have all the belts.
I support it. I'm happy with it. I like that outcome. It's just really hard for me to bet against Bianca here. She has just been such a fighting champion. She's defeated Bayley before. There's no point to do this match if Bayley isn't going to win. But again, I feel like I keep coming back to, there's been crazier things. But Bianca Belair has held that title a really long time. I'm sure if I click this page here, I can go see how long. Dun, 8
months.
There we go. You did the math. 214.
I didn't do the math. I just knew that it was for WrestleMania.
That's hard math. So, it's not like she's out massively if she loses here. I don't know. I'm left not knowing which side I want to pick on this one, which is a lot of these matches.
Yeah, it's been 210 days. So, yeah, I could definitely see Bianca losing here. And it'd be perfectly fine, too. Because she has had it for such a long time. And Bayley is as strong of a person to take the title as anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Why not? All right, well, we are going to go into our entrance theme of the week. We are roughly halfway through the show, and this week it is going to be Sabu's theme, and when we get back on the other side of the song, we've still got 3 more big matches this weekend to talk about, and we might even have a little bit of time to talk about some NXT, who knows? We'll have to wait and find out after you listen to Sabu. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. Let's talk about the 6-man tag team match. It is the OC versus the Judgment Day. Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson returning to back up their buddy AJ Styles, going up against their former buddy Finn Balor and his new creepy crew.
This match is very interesting because this is the first match where I'm like, I don't know who's going to win.
Here I am not knowing who's going to win any of these matches.
Yeah, I've been pretty sure on every match. I don't know. It could easily be the OC winning and to give Gallows and Anderson some momentum head their way towards a potential eventual tag team title match. Or this could be just another nail in the coffin for against Judgment Day opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think whatever the outcome is, Rhea Ripley will be very important into the outcome.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning more towards Judgment Day, and I think Dominic picks up the pinfall.
Okay. Yeah. It's obviously complicated by the fact that Gallows and Anderson just returned, but it's also complicated by the fact that AJ Styles and Finn Balor are 2 people that Triple H has shown to want to invest a fair chunk into in the past. And so my gut does say Judgment Day. I think Finn Balor and his crew are just on that rise, as you say, with Rhea Ripley in the corner as well. Providing extra added bonus. Dominic Mysterio finally getting some feet under him. Damian Priest showing time and time again that he deserves to be up here. I just feel like they're on the rise, and we don't really want to halt that rise with a loss to the OC here. But that being said, in the weeks leading up to this weekend, the OC have been on the receiving end of beatings all the time. And it has been the Judgment Day standing tall for the most part, so a little bit harder to predict on that part. that does sort of tip the scales in the way of the OC. But I don't know. Again, I don't know. All of my picks on this, except for one match, are all going to be 55-45 in the favor of someone. And just because they got Rhea Ripley, I got to tip the scales in the way of the Judgment Day. Last two matches, both of them involving the Bloodline. We have the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships on the line with the Usos defending against the Brawling Brutes.
All right. First off, let me say this. The Brawling Brutes, Holland and Butch, have turned out to be a phenomenal tag team. Something we probably wouldn't have said a year ago.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you that.
And I'm all for them getting a title run. And if this event was taking place anywhere other than the Middle East, I'd say give them the title run on Saturday. Give them the titles. Because I would say that something would happen between Jay and Sami to cause the title change. But since it is in the Middle East, and Sami's not going to be allowed there, I'll say the Usos retain.
Yeah, that's where I struggle with this one. Because I'm with you. I think the Brawling Brutes would make a great Raw Tag Team Champion or a great SmackDown Tag Team Champion. It's just that this overall story with the undisputed Tag Team Championships is still... It's Sami, it's Solo, it's Jimmy, it's Jay. That's the storyline. And we can't advance that this weekend. And so we've got to hold off.
Yeah. I will say this. We've been looking at external forces for being the element that conquers Roman, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's been in front of us the entire time? How about we go full circle with the storyline? And it's Jey Uso that conquers Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Remember, Jey did not join the Bloodline by choice.
The only one?
Yeah. He got beat into the Bloodline. Quite literally.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I feel like storyline-wise, he's taken such an offense to Sami. Sami has the power to walk away. But he's choosing to stay with the group. And he's not even a family.
He's an honorary use.
Yes, and he's seeming to get favor from the head of the table. It's very possible that they could be setting up Jey Uso to challenge Roman again.
Yeah. I could definitely see some sort of match like Jey Uso versus Sami Zayn. Winner or loser is kicked out of the Bloodline. And winner, I guess, takes the other half of the tag team championships. But that's just because I'm still trying to get into my head some sort of Jimmy Sami Zayn tag team coming out to the Usos music and all of that.
Jay is somebody who we built up to main event Jay, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole, what has Jay done since that Hell in the Cell I Quit match? Been in a tag team again.
Yeah.
I like Jimmy. I love Jimmy. But Jay is definitely if we're going to go a singles route with either of these guys, it's going to be Jay. And I would like to see Jay want singles gold.
Yeah.
But obviously, while in the Bloodline, Cousin Roman isn't going to allow it.
And let's move on to Cousin Roman's match, just so we can cover it before we run out of massive time. It's our last match, and it's tying into what we're talking about. The undisputed WWE Universal Championship on the line, Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. Sounds like you've discounted Logan Paul here, and we're moving on with the Bloodline storyline.
I think it'll be a good match. I think Roman will bring out some of the best work of Logan. Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time believing at least at this stage, in Logan Paul being the WWE champion.
Fair.
That said, nothing would surprise me. I mean, I even brought it up that the whole question about what happens if Logan Paul does it should be where this whole feud be built around.
Yeah, I like the story that they've managed to build with this match. I'm interested to see it. As much as I've pooped on Paul the person, he's got the wrestling skill, he's got the charisma, and he's managed to do pretty well in all of the matches that he's been put in. I don't think this match is going to be any different. I think he's going to put on a great showing with Roman, but I just don't see him beating Roman Reigns. I think the Bloodline storyline is still just so strong, and there's, if Logan did it, cool, the storyline is now, Logan Paul as the WWE champion, but it seems like a really unsatisfactory turn in the Bloodline storyline. We've already been talking about, what if Sami faces Roman? What if Jay faces Roman? And all these other possibilities that I feel like are more satisfactory ways to go with the Bloodline. Logan, great championship competitor, not a great Bloodline storyline component, in my opinion.
And I would agree with that. I think that this will tell a fantastic story, but I think there is too much to the story right now to have it ended at the hands of Paul.
Alrighty, well, we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left to go, so I'm going to chuck in a small amount of NXT. We were talking about who was going to be Bron Breakker's next challenger. We thought maybe Apollo Crews, and bam, you got Von Wagner.
And Apollo Crews, and JD McDonald. It looks like everybody wants a piece of Bron Breakker.
Except Wesley, he's all good.
Yeah, but that's because he's a face champion as well. I will say this. I like that they basically built the entire episode around the NXT singles champions.
Mm-hmm.
You got kind of a hint towards who their next opponents will be, while also getting to put over the tag team champions.
Yeah.
I think it's a case of, and honestly, the segment that started off NXT was pretty good too. I don't know. I don't know who takes the title off of Braun, but I am thoroughly entertained with everything he's doing right now. And I think when he does make the jump to Raw or SmackDown, he will be ready. And we will see him with a United States or Intercontinental title reign within 6 months of his debut.
Sorry, I just read something that completely messed with me. Yeah. We'll have to see. Obviously, that whole storyline was, Wesley and Bron Breakker versus Pretty Deadly. No, I can't ignore this. We know that R-Truth and Grayson Waller had a match. R-Truth got injured, and I don't know if I just paid no attention or what I was doing here, but it's only just clicked to me that Grayson Waller is Australian. And I feel ashamed that I'm only just figuring this out and that I've paid that little attention. I'm sad. Although I don't know if I want to claim him or not. We'll see.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. It looked like R-Truth was starting to get some momentum again. It looks like he might have gotten seriously hurt.
Yeah, for R-Truth, I don't know, man. He did the splits, he did a dive. It looks like the injury happened on the splits move, which is, something he's done a million times. So I think it's just one of those extremely unlucky circumstances.
I thought I read it that it happened on the somersault.
I might have been. I only watched the match clip, and for me it looked like he was hobbling and holding his knee a little bit, but I haven't read anything on the sheets since. Hopefully it's not too bad and R-Truth does manage to come back, because as you say, he did have quite a bit of momentum. And this dude's like 80 years old, so let's not break him. 50. Okay. Not quite 80. Alright, well...
No, but he does look like he's 30.
He does. He will forever be 30. That is all we've got time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Maybe.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D up, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND up. And we will see you next week with the results of those matches that are happening this weekend.